what's to be said? Let the good times roll. This is one of my all-time favorite songs, pieces, tracks, tunes, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever heard in my life by anybody. Nighttime is the Right Time is another one that completely slays me emotionally. It grabs you right in the heart, and for me, it's all over in the first few seconds of the track. It's like
You're talking about this track in particular, not necessarily the record.
This is not my favorite Ray Charles record, but this track is cool. But there's other records by Ray that I dig. But if you go, like he has on here, Come Rain or Come Shine, and yeah, this is a good record. I don't think there's a bad Ray Charles record for me, but this. I like this version. Well, anyway, but I guess I went to see Ray Charles live 4 or 5 times when I was young as a kid, and I think one time in my early 20s. And I really don't. And the guy is such a genius. His voice, the amount of soul the guy has, what he does to the tunes, the whole thing. It's so great that what was that one record? My favorite is Genius Plus Soul Equals Jazz, Quincy Jones. And,
right.
And I think Roy Haynes was on a couple of those tracks, and Sonny Payne was on the other ones. It was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and man, it's ridiculous.
You just dig the groove, the feel, his vocals.
Yeah, the whole night. There's not a part of it that it's like if you were to eat. I'm not a big gumbo person, but let's just say one likes gumbo, and there's nothing, and you eat it, and everything about it tastes fantastic. It's just knocking you out constantly. That's how Ray Charles does to me. That's how I hear it. Obviously, Count Basie hits me the same way. I heard Basie's band live a lot when I worked in Vegas. I worked the lounges in these kind of fake little Louis Prima style bands, and then I would go in the big room at the Sands and hear Count Basie and those guys. It took my breath away. 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, 66 or 7 maybe, something like this. No, the street life in Las Vegas and musicians' life was it was very on fire. It could be very dark. There was a lot of stuff going on. I've never seen it really addressed that I know of in film. I had to live up there. I had an apartment up there, and the days were hot, and I'm not sure whether they were muggy, but I was always kind of beat down from the heat, and and it wasn't. It didn't look like it does now, but there was quite a few great jazz musicians up there at that time. There was an after hours, cats could leave their gig and go someplace and play. Okay, we got Ray out of the way. In the background, we have Night in Tunisia, one of my favorite pieces ever by anybody, forever. And this is Charlie Parker, the guy who started it all, who all of us owe an unpayable debt of gratitude to, especially me. Bird. Most of us know the history about Charlie Parker, so I'm not going to go through all that, but the innovative genius that him and Dizzy Gillespie that brought us bebop, and although I don't play like these guys, this was what one of the guys that got me going, and I'm still trying to understand his music to this day. His improv, his solos. I'm still trying to understand this guy. I mean, I don't spend hours hunched over the record player in pain. It's not neurotic, but when I do, he's so blues-soaked that when I'm in that kind of a mindset, I can get it. There's not a problem. But when I start really listening to what he's doing, I'm just like, man, this guy he could fit in a completely radical modern rhythm section today, or even in an avant-garde. It wouldn't matter, and it would sound perfect. Well, before, as a child, I started listening to him, and I didn't know I'd see him in these books, and he just looked like a guy usually had a white suit on, and I'd listen to these records. So when I'd hear him, it would remind me. I don't think I'd been to. I came to New York City when I was about 7 or 8, I guess, but it would remind me what I heard was dark nights, big high-rise buildings like, 52nd Street or something like 52nd Street before I even knew it was 52nd Street. That's what it reminded me of. You know what I mean? I remember one night I was stayed in a hotel here called the Taft Hotel in the early 50s, and I got very sick, and they rushed me to the hospital. And I remember later on, I'd listen to Charlie Parker, and it would remind me of looking out the window of the Taft Hotel and seeing all of these thousands of windows, just thousands of windows in these tall buildings. I guess actually the Taft Hotel was over on 8th Avenue.
That was a famous hotel, wasn't it?
It was in those days,
Yeah.
7th or 8th. Anyway, whatever. But it always reminded me of New York or a big city at night. That's who he reminds me of.